running and sobriety has showed that it's about the long game, you know, like, because there's so many people that's like, yo, I want to run, but they want to run super fast, run that marathon today, right now, or they want to be fit or skinny or whatever they want right now. It is about right now only in the sense of be your best self today, and that's all you can worry about, that's all you can control. You know, like when you're out there and you're at mile whatever and you're all alone, and that's all you got is the sound of your feet and the, you know, breath and the wind and the surroundings. It's like, it reminds you that you can't be ahead of yourself, you can't be behind. The past is gone, the future is damn near not existent. All you got is this moment right now, and can you continue to run? Running kind of taught me how to take a really crazy goal, like qualifying for the Boston Marathon, and break it down into like this process that you can act on. You know, like you can't go from like, I want to qualify for Boston and then do nothing behind that and just run every now and then. You know, like you have to commit to this process. And the cool part about the process is there's steps to it, you know, and you have to kind of trust it. Like you going to the gym when I was lifting weights back in the day, you know, two weeks in, you can see a difference. You can see certain changes in your body. Running, you can't necessarily see all the changes. You can't see that now, okay, now I'm 20 seconds faster a mile. I mean, you know, I'll be able to do that. Like you can't see it week by week. It's just, you have to trust that all the work you're putting in will eventually pay out. And if you stay diligent to those and not like cut corners or do too much, you'll ride that fine line of the performance that you're looking for. So mentally, it's showed me more of like how to go after a goal or a dream and make it a reality.
When I first started running, I had just started my weight loss journey. I was overweight. I weighed about 210 pounds. I've lost probably 60, 70 pounds, something like that. Became much more mindful about the way I treat my body. Understanding that we only get one body, our body is a temple, all that stuff that people say, the cliche stuff that people say, that when you're not living a necessarily healthy lifestyle that you kind of listen to but you don't hear. So I wanted to make sure that as I was getting older that I was being honest with myself about the way I was living my life. So I decided that I needed to lose the weight and I needed to be a little more serious about my health, especially being a black man. It's not really pressed upon us to live in the most healthiest way. So I wanted to, that was my part of rebellion, that was my part of protest, to push back against what is laid out for us in America. So one way of doing that to me was physical fitness, was being healthy. That was like my pushback against the system, the establishment.
I love seeing Aaron and Joe and Lance and the fellas and Gary and all them people that run with us out here making change for their lives and for their families just by getting out and being disciplined and putting in the miles. It seems petty, you know, like I used to drive by people and say like, what are they running for? Like, why are you running? It's dumb, it's no point to it. But once I got out here and realized that it's transforming, it's life-changing, to get out the door every day, 6 days a week, whatever it is, and just dedicate your body, your mind, and your spirit to the pursuit of just getting out the door and running. And in that grand scheme of things, run after run, it's absolutely life-changing.
The running community in Detroit is becoming more and more, I feel, inclusive. It's becoming more and more accepting of people like us. And I think we have, our group, We Run 313, we have a big part to play in that. Naturally, the running space in most cities in America is dominated by white people. So to create a space to allow, a safe space to allow black and brown people to come and fellowship and run and not feel judged and not feel out of place was super important. I joined We Run 313 at its inception. I was at the first run, and I really helped. I wanted to provide as much resources, provide as much assistance as possible in building this thing. So shout out to Joe, shout out to Lance for allowing me to do that. And I think we've built a community inside of Detroit that hasn't been seen before, based around something that's not normally what's seen from people like us. So yeah, I tell people all the time, everything that's going well in my life kind of came from running, and We Run 3-on-3 is a huge part of that. I've made lifelong friends. I wouldn't have met Tommy, I wouldn't have met Joe, I wouldn't have met Lance if it wasn't for running, and these people are some of the most important people in my life. So yeah, the community is unbelievable.
In case we're gonna be like, what is this guy doing? It said 7:30. And he like, I'm just regular. And running community here in Detroit is getting super dope. Like when I first started running in 2018, I didn't really know there was a Detroit running community. You know, there's been groups all around that are doing dope things, you know, that are getting, you know, group runs together and all that, but right around like 2019 summer, I found out about a group called We Run 3-on-3, run by Lance Woods and Joe Robinson, and I saw a video of like 150 people running, and they was pretty much all black, young. So I'm like, what's happened? Like, I gotta figure out what's happened. I went down to one of the runs. I felt super at home, you know, and that's part of the thing. It's like, it's cool to see things like that look like us, but when you get to feel what's happening in the energy and that you relate to just inherently, like that's what was so big for me. And so what We Run 3-on-3 and other groups are doing is just by pushing and continuing to up the bar. Because you see like running cities like New York and Chicago and LA and all that are just, they got stuff for everybody. You know, like it's running stuff every weekend, it seems like that. It's like on Instagram, it just looks so fun, you know what I'm saying? But here more things are starting to pop up. I've been throwing events, putting events together that are, you know, for the running community here, which is dope. And I want to continue to offer that, along with what We Run 3-on-3 is doing, Run Detroit, and a bunch of other different clubs are continue to push. And the more these groups step up and say this, we have to provide things for runners to feel comfortable to come to, then the Detroit running community is just going to continue to grow. I kind of idolized like the wrong way, you know, like the people that, you know, that I looked up to were, you know, basketball players, rappers, or street dudes. And so when people say like that we make running look cool sometimes, or I make running look cool, like that's my goal, is to make sure that people that look like me coming up, like young black kids, can see that, you know, we got swag too. We bring what where we're from to wherever we are.
I took on running as a very selfish thing. I always felt like I was in service to other people in everything that I did in my life up until running. So running was a very selfish pursuit for me. It was a very self-indulgent pursuit for me, if you will, because I felt like I needed an outlet to pour into myself because I was doing so much for other people. And in turn, that became inspiration for other people. Just, you never know who's watching. You never know who's paying attention to what you're doing. And just me posting that I was running, my weight loss journey, and just how running transformed my mindset. So many people reach out to me and tell me that my story inspires them. So I think mostly I just wanted to give people the belief that they can do something that might seem scary, or do something that might seem outlandish or outside of what people expect from them, because nobody expected me to be a quote-unquote runner. I still don't call myself a runner. I don't like labels like that. But the fact that I am running marathons and doing things like that, it makes the people around me proud. And so this selfish pursuit that I started for myself turned into something that still feels like service to others, which I really enjoy, because I feel like my most important thing on this earth is to be in service of others. So it really feeds that mindset.
When I went to Boston, I thought it was all about like the running, like just like, oh, you're fast-ish, you know, like I'm nowhere near like an elite athlete or anything like that, but I thought it was all about the running part. But then I realized when I went to Boston, I had the opportunity to be involved with certain brands like UCAN, and did a panel with them and shared some of my story about, you know, going from alcoholism to sobriety to, you know, mental health to just being black in the running community, which is, you start to see it's getting better to you know, see more representation for BIPOC folks, but it's not where it should be and not where it could be. So
the reception was way bigger than running for me. It wasn't like nobody came up to me and said, "Man, you are so fast." It was like, we appreciate what you're doing in the space. We appreciate you sharing your story about sobriety. We appreciate you sharing your struggles with whatever it is, because I'm very transparent when it comes to like things I'm dealing with, you know? And so I want to keep pushing in that sense. I want to keep chasing my goals and run faster and faster and all that stuff, keep up with the training. But the running faster and the training part is part of who I am at this point, in the sense of I'm constantly reaching to get better at whatever it is that I'm trying to do. And that's what I'm going to keep doing, is keep pushing, but then keep pushing in the sense of running, but then also with this representation piece. And that's the biggest thing. I mean, because there's black runners out there that are doing their thing, and either they don't get the recognition, or they're just not there. They don't get to be at some of these events. But just making sure that we do everything we can do to show representation at the start lines, but also on the other side when it comes to like dealing with companies and being part of the voices that are getting the stories that are getting told. Because for so long it's like companies are trying to sell to the minorities or the BIPOC folks out there, instead of figuring out how to tell our stories, you know, with their, you know, along with their stories, you know, like, 'cause our stories just don't get told, we just get sold to. So it's like, I want to be part of the representation with a voice, as opposed to, because like in 2020 you saw a bunch of companies throwing, you know, there's black folks on everything, you know, like everywhere. But that was dope, because that's good, and that's, a kid picks up a running magazine and sees somebody black in it, that's cool, because like, you can relate to that. But I also want to make sure that I'm sharing my story, because that's the part that, you know, it's cool to see us on a billboard somewhere, but if I can open and read a story or hear somebody talk and relate to that, then that's what I want to do, you know what I'm saying?
In that moment, or when you don't have anything else other than just pushing to your max, when you boil down to that, and all it is just, can I continue to go? That's what's most liberating for me. That's why when I walk away from running, I go, damn, I could do almost anything with this.